All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Player Pro Show. I'm your host, Player Pro, and we are here to speak on perspectives on issues that's going on in the world today, usually in the United States. All right. We have a panel of guests here. We're going to go down the line and have them introduce themselves and just let us know your relationship, not history, I'm sorry, your relationship status. All right, let's start. Go ahead, Blaze.
Hello, I'm Blaze. My relationship status is private.
Okay. All right. Tech. All right,
Hey, what's
Tech.
going
Go
on? My
ahead.
name is Architect. My name is Architect, and I am partner.
All right. Good. All right, Stacy.
I'm
There you
Stacey
go.
and I'm single parent.
All right. Fluffy.
My name is Fluffy, and my relationship status is complicated.
All right. Fair enough. Cassie.
I'm Cassie and I'm never single
I believe
because
you.
I have kids.
Same.
All right. Got
I
you.
don't call myself single because of that. So,
All right. Well, we are going to get into the first topic of the evening. All right. So I'm about to get ready to play a video, and then we're going to come back and discuss it. All right. Here we go.
Western Heights School District in Oklahoma, of all places, hired a drag queen to be their elementary school principal. A drag queen principal in Oklahoma. Dr. Shane Mernon goes by Miss Chantel Mandalay. This is Miss Mandalay at the Little Kitty Story Hour.
Hi, everybody. I'm Miss Chantel, and I'm here with the Metropolitan Library to celebrate Pride. I want to thank you guys for letting me come share my stories with you about Pride and being yourself. You guys have a great Pride celebration in the month of June, and I hope I see you real soon.
Not if I see you first. I guess during the interview process, what Miss Mandalay did in her or his free time never came up. This never came up either. The drag principal has been charged with possessing child porn. Yeah, but Miss Mandalay, the drag queen principal, beat the charge. And it was brought to the school's attention. The district said Miss Mandalay had an outstanding reputation, and they're sticking with them. Now, if you were hiring an elementary school principal and a candidate presented himself as a drag queen that beat a child porn charge by the skin of his teeth, would you maybe keep looking for other candidates? I would. That's just me.
All right. Did all y'all hear the video? All right. Anyone can
It was
start
actually
first.
cutting out for me.
That did not play
I the
at
gist of it
all.
though.
It didn't
It
It
play.
played
it
for
it
me.
played. It was yeah. It would
it
free. It
played for
froze from time to
me.
time, but I got the gist.
Cassie, you said it didn't play for you.
It did for me and Cassie.
Okay. Blaze, did it play for you?
It played for me.
And you said it did not play for you, Cassie. Oh, yeah, Stacy.
No,
Not at all.
it kept,
So you said it was in and out for you, Tech.
Yeah, but I got the
Okay.
gist of it.
Okay. See, this is the premise. There is a elementary school. I think they said Oklahoma, where they have a principal who is a transgender, uh, cross-dressing man, and who also have a record of child pornography. He went to court for it.
Well, he was,
He beat the case.
hold on,
Mhm,
didn't it say he was just charged with it and it
mhm,
wasn't proven though, right?
mhm.
Okay.
But it is still on his record.
Clarification there.
The infraction is still on his record. He did beat the case. Yes, he did. So the question is, what do y'all think about that?
So,
Anyone can start. Okay, then I'll start then. Well, me personally, I wouldn't have my child in a school with a cross-dressing man because, for one, I don't believe that that is a good representation for a child underage, an underage child. I don't think my child should be wondering, is it okay to be a girl if he's a boy? I don't want that agenda or that influence pushed on my child. Not at all. Me personally, if the first thing I would try to do is I would try to sign a petition with other parents of like mind and see if there's anything that we can do about it. If there is not, then I would pull my child from that school, because you can't tell me that any person who coming into a school of children won't have some type of influence on the children. I won't have that. Not in a school that my child go to. That's how I feel about it. All right.
I think unless you're okay with little boys dressing up as girls going to school, then that would be okay with you, because it's very to me it's very confusing for a child. Life is already confusing for a child to come up on. Somebody has some noise. Sorry. It's very confusing for a child because children are easily manipulated, easily. Like, so for them to just see that, they're gonna think it's okay automatically, and then they may start coming to school dressed up as a little girl, and then now you're confusing the other little boys around and confusing the girls. So now they're just growing up confused, and now you got a world full of confused adults out there. And again, it's no shot to anybody's sexual orientation, but this is about the children at the end of the day. This is the only thing that I personally have a problem with when it comes to the LGBT.
What about the charges?
There's a thing going on in this state or in this country. I feel like it's gay privilege. They pretty much get to say whatever they want, and it's just okayed. But it's also like a double-edged sword with them, because they get slandered just by even people that aren't doing, even gay people that aren't bothering anybody get slandered too. So yeah, it's madness. Anybody that had child porn around them or even accused of that shouldn't be in a school at all or anywhere near children.
That definitely should have disqualified him. I really do think so. All right. Anyone else?
Let me just say, I hope you can use some bleeps, because I do not care that he is trans, she is transgender. I'm trying to be respectful, but it's the charge that is bothering me. If he is charged with basically being a pedo, why is he allowed to be in a school? Why are they allowed to be in a school? Because I guarantee you, if my son or any child of mine was to tell me if I watched that on the news, I will be at the school unenrolling them that day. Ain't no way.
And you seen that he was already talking about pride and all this stuff. So you can't tell me that he's not going to try to represent pride at that school.
I do not agree with this whole pride movement in the school. I get it into like 8th grade year into high school, but the elementary school, them kids don't even know what they want to be when they grow up. My son changes his mind from fighter to police officer to all types of things in a matter of days. So now you're pushing a narrative. I don't like that.
Exactly.
You know what else is funny about this? Everything in school has not changed. All the history has stayed the same. The math has stayed the same. Now we're in this modern day era where the sexual orientation has changed. Why does everything change?
No,
like,
that's
history
definitely
is
not
changing
true.
too. They're rewriting it.
Math has definitely changed from what we used to know the Common Core.
Yeah.
History
and they're taking
has definitely
cursive
been bastardized. You kind of have to change science because that changes with the discovery of stuff, stuff going on, so on and so forth. As far as the principle being trans or a drag queen generally doesn't matter because most kids don't give a shit about their principal. You wasn't looking up to your principal when you was in high school. That nigga is a non-factor. Whatever thing that he's pushing, kids are confused regardless. These kids, these elementary school kids eat fucking dirt when they feel like it. They don't give a shit.
Yeah,
If you're not watching your kids, it doesn't matter whether that person was trans or not. There's plenty of principals walking around that's been on some bullshit and you would never know because they're straight. You automatically think that they're okay. Their sexual orientation has nothing to do with how they would treat kids. Now, as far as their actual charges, they should have been cognizant enough to, like, you know what, trying to be a principal while I have child porn charges, that easily you should have been a no-go because people was gonna come for you. You could have chose to just be a YouTuber, right? You didn't have to be in a school talking where you basically put yourself in a position for parents to beat you the fuck up in the parking lot. Because regardless of whether you gay or straight, somebody going to fuck you up.
Tech. We gotta try to keep the language. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. If you, regardless of the mess,
I'll bleep it out.
Bleep you up. How about that? Bleep you up. and that's on that. That's more so as far as they're concerned, right? Mm-hmm. I've always said this before. As far as people's objection to LGBT and pride stuff, literally comes down to the fact that majority of parents can't even have the sex conversation with their kids in the first place. So of course you're not going to you don't want to incorporate something that's already foreign outside of that. So look, I can understand that. I can understand why people wouldn't want their kids in the school like that. If you can't even tell your kids where babies come from, you don't have the capacity to understand homosexuality at all. That's just my opinion on that.
Now, if it was middle school, I would understand because the kids are old enough to understand the difference between right and wrong. But they are very impressionable in elementary school. In elementary school, hey, you can easily push a kid one way or the other. I don't want them confused. I don't want them to wonder if it's okay to be a boy or a girl. If they decide to do this when they get older, that's different because their mind is already developed to the point to where they know the difference between a boy and a girl. But in elementary, they still figuring things out. So I just feel that elementary school should have been a no-go. Should have been a no-go.
I think middle school too, though.
I can understand that narrative, but I've come across a lot of people, a lot of gay and lesbian people who or even people who are trans. They wasn't like, oh, I saw another LGBT person do that, and I want to do that. Usually, the case with them is I see as a biological male, I see a man and a woman, and I prefer to be the woman as opposed to the man. Instead of just a concept of, because I have a penis, I have to do this. Most of them just go, no, I'm going to choose the one that I want to be. They don't go. They don't have. Most of them cross dress before they even see a cross dresser because they are legitimately like to doing the things that we as a society attribute to girls. If anything, it's society's wanting to put men and women in a box is why you have them walking around in the first place. Because okay, if women do this and I like to do this, then I must be a woman. And then they they have that in their head. Mm-hmm. If you put everything into a box, people are going to go in the box that they want to fit in, not the box you want them to fit in.
Gotcha. Oh, wait, what are you about to say, Stacey? I know you wanted to say something.
I just said that I don't think they should be able to do it in middle school either, because from listening to my daughter and all of her friends, these girls ain't got a clue what they want to be anyways. Like 1 minute they're lesbian, 1 minute they're straight, 1 minute they're bisexual. I mean, they literally are all over the place. So it's like, why add that extra confusion with it? But the fact of the matter, where I live, where we vote on who our principal is. So what the hell is wrong with the community that voted that person to be in that job to begin with?
I don't
How
think
did
the
you even
community
get into
voted
that
them in.
position?
I don't think the concerned parents. I don't
Our
think
school
concerned
board
parents.
does, and our
Mhm. I mean, I don't think. Yeah, me personally, I really don't think.
no,
that,
our school board stuff's all made up of parents.
Well, I don't. I don't know.
I don't.
Every school district is different.
I don't think sex. I don't think any of us would prefer our children to have sex from the age elementary school up to maybe 17, 18. I don't know about y'all, but I wouldn't even want my daughter or son to have sex within that range. So sexual orientation, all that stuff should be just out the door during school period. Now, sex ed is another story. That's another story. I agree with that being put in schools, but your sexual orientation has completely nothing to do with school at all.
Yeah, because sex ed used to be in school a while
No,
back.
it doesn't.
I said sex ed used to be in school because I remember a time when it was, but they took
I
that
think
out.
that stopped after my generation.
It
because
still
my older
is.
sister-
Nope, it still is. My
It ain't around as like it used to be.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
years
but
old, they
my
were
sister-
teaching them that.
Home ec ain't even around like it used to be.
See, I'll tell you this, right? For us, sex ed wasn't actively a thing. What it was is you had a health class, and one of the lessons was sex ed. That was basically how that went.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's like in between.
Well,
So it's
and
in
Oh, here
between
you
how
had
you
a
could.
choice.
Mm-hmm.
I want to speak
I'll-
on
I'll
that
tell-
because I have a child who is in school who is questioning. Oh, am I cutting out?
No, you good.
Am I there?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. So because I have a child who is in high school who has suicidal thoughts and tendencies, and it is over questioning some of this stuff. And I do believe that when you're in childhood, a lot of people go through questioning that. So I think that it's necessary to talk about, but I do believe that parents need to be talking to their children about it, not that it needs to be in school unless it's with a counselor, maybe privately. I don't think that, like right now, they're offering wardrobe closets for kids who are transgender and hiding it from their parents at the schools here where I live now.
What?
And it is a closet, and it is, yes, and it is a closet that is offered at the school, and it is kept confidential to those children away from the parents. So kids
Wow.
can go to school now, and if they want to dress like a girl and they're a boy, they get to do that while they're in school, and it's accepted. I agree that any charges like that, anything that has to do with neglect or abuse of a child in any sort of way, they should not be working in the schools. And I also think that no matter where your kids go to school at, I've had to understand I can't afford private school for all three of my children, and I did homeschool for 7 years of their life. They're just now getting into the school system. What I've realized is I raised my kids pretty damn good, and I raised them up to go out into the world and see that kind of shit and have their own mind. So at the end of the day, I don't think sexual orientation matters if they're teaching your kids, but they definitely need to keep that personal stuff to themselves. I feel like they are emotionalizing these children. They are teaching them things that they're not even wondering about in the beginning. Like they're not even thinking about that, and they're introducing it to my kids. And that's what I don't like. The fact that my kids aren't even thinking about it. Before my kid hit high school here and I let him go to public school, he wasn't thinking that he wanted to be with men and women. He was not thinking that at all.
So
and here we could go ahead.
Okay, so you disagree with them doing this in the school where they actually have the little closet for people to go and change clothes for kids?
I disagree. I disagree with them like introducing it to the children at a very young age, and I disagree with them doing it so openly. I think that that needs to be more of a private thing, like I said, between a counselor and a child, and maybe the parent involved, if the parent can be and is not, like making that kid feel like ashamed. Because I could easily be a parent that tells my son, you're horrible, you're going to go to hell for that, and make him feel unwanted and unloved, and then he could kill himself. And I know of children who have killed themselves over that. So that's why I feel strongly about they need a safe space to talk about it too, if they're wondering about it. Even if you don't agree as a parent, they need a safe space. So that safe place would be a counselor or a trusted individual that's close to me, like one of my best guy friends I would trust with my son to have this conversation. But so I just don't agree with it being pushed on my kid. Like I said, before he came to this school and we came to this area with all of the drag queens, we have festivals, or I have nothing like that, but my kid never wondered, you know, and being introduced to this at normalcy in it. You know,
Yeah,
we watch women, we watch men.
Stacey, but Cassie, you kind of breaking up.
Okay, it's okay. I'm just saying he wasn't watching any of that until we moved here, and I let him go to public high school and they taught about it until it was introduced to him.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely have a problem with because if I don't allow my child to come out of the house, like if I have a boy and I don't allow him to come out of the house and address, and they allow him to do this at school without my permission, there's definitely going to be a problem. Definitely going to be a problem because now they are doing things behind my back that I don't agree with, and
they're parenting your kid. They're not your parent. Your parent, you are.
Exactly.
If we're gonna touch on that subject, right? If we're gonna be in the past over the past decade or so, that's basically what parents have been sending their kids to school for. Like, yo, you deal with them. Like a lot of people have this narrative that the school is supposed to raise their kid into what they're supposed to be. And then when the school decides, and then the school go, and then when the school has, and then when I already saw this becoming an issue with stuff when parents had a problem with Common Core, and it's like, yeah, take my kid. Not the math changed. This isn't the math I know. This is dumb. Like, but that's what you get for not being actually involved with your kid. And then there's nothing around that. You don't create a comfortable enough space for a kid to be able to come to you about the stuff that they're confused about, even. So before you can even talk about so before you can even talk about what's going on in your schools, what are you doing for your kid to make you for them to be able to literally tell you everything? Because every parent can say, my kids tell me everything. They fucking don't. I don't care who you are.
My kids do feel safe with me.
I'm sorry.
No, but he's right. You got to create a safe space for your children to want to come to you and talk to you and feel comfortable enough being open with you like that. If I had not have been that kind of parent, my son wouldn't be coming and me going to all them, and he definitely would be. I know where he would be right now, but I've been able to keep that close relationship with him enough for him to be like, hey mom, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And he takes my advice too. Like he's receptive.
Well, you want to know it'd be a lot harder?
But a lot of that comes from him being sheltered, just having you. And when they just have you, of course, they're going to feel more comfortable to come to you because you're all they've had. Where when you've got kids that's been in schools, watch TV that shows them that, oh, we're smarter than the parents are always dumb, that, you know, we don't need to go to the parents because we know more than the parents. That's what all these cartoons teach these kids. These kids aren't going to feel like they can come and talk to us about anything because we don't understand nothing.
Can I also say there's also a disconnect in comparison to a dad versus a mom. It's like it's like you always around your mom. You know, there's grant you're not gonna say everything, but there's obvious conversations that you would have with your mom that you wouldn't have with your dad, and vice versa, right?
That's what I was about to say.
As a dad, you're not thinking of creating a space for your kid to be comfortable to talk about them being gay as if that does come up. Like, you're not really thinking that. You just know, like, you're a kid, enjoy life, play with your friends and do whatever. You're not expecting them. You're not expecting your daughter to walk up on you and talk like, yeah, so I got a girlfriend now. Like, nigga, what? Like, it's not. It's definitely a disconnect in that. Just because
I've already experienced.
Just because that shit. It really don't. We just not expecting it, especially as guys. I remember my daughter was. I know my daughter didn't even tell me. My daughter told her mom. Her mom told me. So even that question. So she thought I was gonna feel some type of way about it. When in reality, I teased her about it. I didn't get upset. I'm like, oh, look at your little girlfriend. Da da da. But you still have a serious conversation about the series of events that led you to come to this conclusion. And like, I'm not the only thing I'm mad about you is the fact that you didn't even, that you didn't think that I was comfortable enough to have this conversation with. Like, I mean, Dad, you gonna try and you asked me for everything anyway. You as well. So it's like,
that's true.
And what's crazy about that, I have a bisexual daughter who is married to a woman. Do I agree with the lifestyle? No, not at all. And I talk against it all the time. But I still love my daughter the same. That is still my daughter. Now, I will still love her. How you treat your wife? I mean, we cool. But either way, like I said, I do not agree with the lifestyle, but I don't treat my daughter no certain way. And out of respect for my daughter, I don't treat her wife a certain way.
See, I have a great aunt, lesbian, and she actually, we all knew it. I don't know why she tried to hide it, but she literally just kind of stayed. She moved away from where we all lived, and so she didn't give us the option to say anything or even accept or deny her lifestyle. She just stayed away, got married to a woman, and she'll periodically come around, but for the most part, unless it's something serious, the wife does not come.
That conversation is easier to have with a mother. With a child who's looking to come out of the closet, that conversation is definitely easier to have with a mother. That's not a conversation. Kids are terrified to come to a father, especially a little boy, to come to his father, knowing that he disagree with that lifestyle. That is a hard conversation. Do we say what?
Especially when you actively hear. You just, I mean, and here's the thing, right? Because it's pretty subtle when it comes to that. Because the thing that makes them, the thing that would make them distrust having that conversation with us could be as simple as you see a dude doing something in a particular way, and you just go, man, that nigga. If you be like, that is gay, and now that put it in that kid's head that like, wow, he feels some type of way about that, and now all of a sudden that they don't want to talk to. So our language in itself is important, but at the same time, there's still, especially with kids, they literally don't understand how we talk to each other as men. It was like, yeah, sure, I may disagree with your lifestyle, but at the end of the day, you're not really hurting somebody. I just don't want no parts of what you got going on, and that's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to fit in. You don't have to be something that you don't want to. But at the same time, who's to say that you're not? That I can understand in some instances where kids follow a particular crowd of kids for the sake of fitting in because those are your peers, and because those kids are walking around confused, and you hanging out with them. Now you want to be like them. But in reality, none of y'all know your head from your ass.
All right, Blaze, hop on in there. I know you got something to say.
Nah, I mean, I agree with everything y'all saying. I'm actually ready to move on to the next video. Yeah, because I think we all agree with this subject.
All right.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely do.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on.